as I continue down, I do see some person ahead of me in the path. Looks like they're waiting for me.
Okay. Moving up now to that person, and introduce yourself. And what does this person have to say to you?
Well, this is the same person I saw before. A woman who was very, who we traveled a lot and we wrote a book together.
Kalila?
Uh-huh.
Okay, very good.
She's very happy to see me. I'm very happy to see her.
And Kalila, what do you have to say to us today? What do you have to say to Devin?
Mm-hmm. She's telling me that she wants to show me something that she didn't see, that I didn't see last time.
Okay.
And she asked me to come with her.
Okay, I'm going to count now from 3 to 1. And we're going to go to that place that she wants you to see. 3, 2, and 1. Be there now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you see?
We're in the castle, and we're in the living room. It's not the living room, but it's a huge room. And she wants to show me some documents.
Okay, let's take a look at those documents.
Mm-hmm. She's showing me some papers that we had written and reminded me that we did a lot of writing and that these documents are very important. And I asked her, why are they so important? And she says, because we knew that there were things coming in the future and that you predicted some things, and she wanted me to see what I had predicted in another life, in another time period.
Okay, and tell me now, what are the things that you predicted?
I predicted one of the things that she wanted to point out was that there would be a great war that would take place, and that I was to help people, and when that happened, she would be there also, not by my side, but she would be in that lifetime, and we would connect eventually. But we were at the time when there was this great war.
And is this World War I, World War II, or another war?
This was World War II.
Okay. And this was going to be a life after the life as the French aristocrat? Or the same life?
It's a different life.
Okay, different life.
Mm-hmm. It actually prepared me for that life.
What prepared you for that life?
This World
War II?
Yeah.
What prepared you to help people?
Yes.
Because you were able to see what was going to happen?
Yes.
Okay.
And I helped people who were in danger, because I knew they were in danger. And I helped them. Some people, this is before the war started, and some people would listen to me, many did not. I warned them that there's going to be a tragedy.
And you were helping people in which country?
It was France.
Oh, France again. Okay. Okay, any other predictions Kalila wants you to see? Or just that one?
So we go back to the documents.
Okay.
And she said that in in the 21st century, there would be a tremendous change among the people on this earth. And she said, there will be many people frightened, and there will be many people frightened, and that I would have knowledge of that, of knowledge to help them.
Right. What are they afraid of?
They're afraid of the unknown. I should tell you my vibration. My body's vibrating here.
Very good.
So I was to help them prepare and to move through this transition. It was a transition that we had never, or people on the earth had never experienced for a very long time. And it was here. And it was to show the many different deceits, many different lies that had been told to the people, and it would be revealed, and it would frighten people. They didn't know who to trust. They didn't know where to turn to for safety, or who they could confide their life to. It helped them. What was interesting, however, is that people had to start really relying on their own self and not so much on authority, or what they consider to be authority figures.
I see. And is that time period, is that now, 2019, or is that coming up in the future?
It's coming up in the future.
How far into the future?
It's not that far.
Within 10 years? Or
10 to 15 years. It could be sooner, or it could be less.
Okay, so that's...
Or it could be more.
So you're talking about this life of Devon?
Yes.
Okay. And so in the future, 10 to 15 years more or less, what is Devon going to be doing to help these people who are afraid? How is he going to help them? How is he going to be able to communicate with them to help them?
Yes. He will learn many new techniques. He's in the process of learning those techniques now. And he is seeing that the main thing that he needs to do is to be very balanced himself. He cannot move into fear. Or if he moves into fear, he will not be as helpful. He also sees that there be many beings who he may be working with that will unite and move across the country that he now lives in.
Are you talking about people or channeling?
People.
Okay, people.
There's some young people who have come to this world at this time and have been placed in certain areas of the country, and they will help calm people down.
Mm-hmm. And I guess just kind of spread an awakening out of fear.
Yes, it's the main thing they will be speaking about is moving. Well, the big lesson that is to be taught is moving out of fear and moving into love, and moving into a love of oneself, so that people would know that if they can trust themselves. That's the key also, is loving oneself and moving out of fear and trusting their own self.
Mm-hmm. I see.
There are many people who respond to the group Devin's referring to, and will be able to be in a calm state. Calm, they'll be in a calm. They'll be calm.
So there's a lot of young people growing up, and in the near future, they will be, I guess, young adults, and Devin will be one of their mentors. Is that what you're describing?
He will have some influence, and that will become more clear to him as time goes on.
I see. And
he will know how he is going to do that.
He will know.
He will know. He will, that message that he has within him and through his guides, he will know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it.
Will Devin be staying in Boulder, or will he be traveling around? Can you talk about that?
Yes. Devin will be living in Boulder, but he will also be traveling. It will not be so much outside of the country as much as, or outside of the country. He will be mostly in the United States. But he will know where to go. He'll know who's receptive to him. And he will see a map in his, what you may call a third eye. And he will see where he needs to go, when he needs to go, and how he's going to go, and who he is going to meet. His third eye will be more opening as time goes on. He's had glimpses of the third eye opening during his lifetime, and that usually he gets messages from, just comes to him, but he will also keep that, but he will also, third eye will be opening up where he will see, actually he will be as if he is there already.
I see.
He will learn special skills that we cannot share openly to people, but I'll say to here, at this place here, that he will be able to do what some people would think is magic, but it really isn't magic. It's really what we all can do. He has just been able to tap into that and use some very high evolved things.
Is one of these techniques you're talking about, like the bilocation with the third eye, where you're seeing one place to the extent that you feel like you're there?
Yeah, that's one of the things.
And that seems like that's really something that's coming to light right now with remote viewers like Courtney Brown and John Vivanco.
Yes.
Who have experience doing that. Okay.
Yes.
Is there anything?
Just mentioning those names, my body is tingling.
Okay. Can we know one of these places Devin will be going to? One of these states, or is it not time yet?
It's not time yet. One of the places may be in around Santa Fe, in that area.
Santa Fe. Okay.
More between Santa Fe and Taos.
Okay, and is there anything else Kalila wants to say about the 21st century?
She's going through the documents with Devin. He's seeing them. Well, what is interesting in seeing them, he is memorizing them. so that if he ever has to go back to the information, he has it in his, he refreshed his soul in remembering what was written there. There's other things that is there that he's not mentally receiving, but his soul is receiving it. The soul already knows, but it's being reminded.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything, Kalila, you want to point out that's in these documents right now?
Mm-hmm. She's pointing out something that is, it's kind of interesting. It's like she's pointing out something about a cornfield. Something about a cornfield. And she said the reason why she is picking out that particular document is to remind Evan, because he has not recalled this, that when he was a child, he walked in the cornfield and he saw many beings in the cornfield. They were beings that looked quite different than he was used to, and they greeted him very kindly and told him that they were beings of another reality and that they were friendly, and that they reminded him that he come from a different, that he had lived with them in another time, in another life. They were very friendly, and they gave him kind of an interesting experience in that they touched his forehead, and he felt this tremendous flash of light, and they said that was his third eye that they were wanting him to be aware of, and that it would become more valuable in the future to him, and that a certain time would come when they would kind of touch his forehead again to waken up at a higher level his third eye.
And how do you feel being around these beings?
I was surprised that I did not feel scared. When I first met them, I was a little surprised and wondering who they were and why did they come in the middle of a cornfield. They said that was the safest place they could find that they could share what they were going to share.
Mm-hmm. And tell me about the experience when when you saw the flash in your third eye.
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, they just told me before you asked that question that you've heard of the fields that have these different crops that have been...
Crop circles?
Crop circles. They are responsible for that. They are sending messages to many different people. And there are some people who understand them, believe it or not. Although they have not spoken out, that was not their a task to speak about them. But they are the ones who created and over the world, the crop circles.
And can you give me an example of one of the messages they were conveying with one of these crop circle designs?
Mm-hmm. They're telling me that they don't really want to go into great detail, but they will say that it was to remind the people who knew the message that the time was approaching. And it was to it actually had two two meanings. One was to remind the people who knew about the crop circles what they knew what they meant. They intuitively knew what they meant. But it also is trying to point out to the world that there's more to life than what's on this planet. And they was trying to prepare people for them to be accepted into their life. The people from another dimension.
Now, these beings in the cornfield, do they feel like family? How do they feel?
They are very, yes, in some ways they felt like they were very close together. They were very close together. And I felt that I was one of them, that I was a part of their inner circle, so to speak, that I had known them and I had spent time with them. Yes.
Okay. I'm going to count now from 3 to 1, and we're going to go to this life you were talking about, where you lived as one of these beings. 3, 2, 1. Be there now.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me, where are you?
This is a different planet. It's a planet that is not known until recently of the people here on Earth. It is the planet that brought many different species here. The one that really was important to acknowledge is the whales and the dolphins. They came here because of these people bringing them here to help soothe and to bring harmony onto this earth. Unfortunately, they have not been respected, and their task is almost they're not capable of fulfilling their task as they had wished. But these beings in the planet I'm visiting here said that he is sad, but there's other ways that the message that the dolphins and the whales have brought will be spread. The main purpose of the dolphins and the is that they and the whales is that they bring harmony. They have a vibration to bring harmony, and they have kept the earth in great harmony for some time. But it isn't. They have not been able to keep it at the level they wanted. So what is happening is the beings from the planet that I'm visiting have brought the energy in a different way. It's not so visible as far as there's no form like you see whales and dolphins. It's more very energetic. If you were to look into the sky and if you were available and receptive, you can see these, what you would call spaceships, that are actually bringing a tremendous about a lot of energy, of bringing peace, love, and tremendous compassion to this world. It is keeping it from the world from being deteriorating and killing itself off. What is interesting also is that they have to recognize that there is free will here on Earth. So so they're aware of that. They do not intrude in people's lives, but they do bring love because, and this is a very important thing to remember, they bring love because people are asking for love. They're asking, some people say God, some people say divine, some people just call out upon the ethers to bring love, to bring peace, to bring harmony, to bring compassion to us as a group of beings on this earth. And because of that outcry, and because of the great meditation that's taking place, and because of the great masters who have placed themselves on this earth, very few people acknowledge the masters that are here. They do not even know that they are here, that they are here. And they are bringing a tremendous amount of love and awareness and knowledge. Ancient secrets are being given, and the people who are ready for it are hearing them. They are receiving them and really are taking that vibrant energy, that sacred knowledge that they are being given through these great masters, and using them in their meditations, using them in their everyday life. And the main thing that the masters are saying is to forgive oneself, to love oneself, to see one's preciousness, and to be very respectful to oneself. In doing that, what ends up happening is then people then move out into the world in that peace and harmony and compassion and love, and spreading it to other people. It may not be through words, it may be just their presence, and that is the most important thing. Words sometimes get in the way. Words sometimes keep people from actually receiving the message. The message is vibratorial. So if people vibrate love, that can be more receptive than trying to speak to the mind who blocks it lots of times.
I see. It's like when people are kind to themselves, they'll be kind to others, and the opposite, when they are mean to themselves, they will be mean to others.
Yes, and if they judge themselves harshly, people feel that. And then they just kind of reinforce other people's going in and feeling bad about themselves. So the more we love ourselves, that helps other people to love themselves. It's like it gives them permission to love themselves. But I also must say that some people have never felt deep love before, and so it can be frightening. And that is sad, but that is some of the that is something that can happen. And it's just like, be patient with those who are afraid of love. They are afraid of love. They've been hurt. They don't want to be hurt again. And they never felt such love, but it's foreign to them, and they think they're going to be manipulated into something they do not want to do.
I see. Well, thank you for this beautiful message. Now, going back to that planet, you said these beings brought the dolphins and whales to Earth.
Yes.
What else did you do? What other activities did you do in the life on that planet?
Yes.
What's going on?
The life of that planet is one of very, it's very deep and loving oneself, deep in having great compassion. And also it's been asked of that planet to help places like Earth to evolve and get out of its spiral of destruction and to become loving again. We spend a lot of time, what you may call meditation, prayer, and we send tremendous amount of love to our own selves and to our own group, but we also send it out into the universe. You see, what is interesting is that whatever one does affects the whole universe, and we are very aware of this. We send love and it goes out not only throughout our planet, but through all of existence.
Now, in this life on this planet, tell me, looking at yourself, what do you look like? Or what do you feel like?
Mm-hmm. I am very... my body is quite different than it is here on Earth. It is more of a bird-like face, but we also have arms and legs. Our hands and what you call feet are the different, but we have somewhat of a human body, except our heads are more like a bird's. And we are, we don't speak. We don't need to speak. We are very intuitive with each other. We communicate through vibration. And eventually that is what will happen here on Earth. A lot of people feel vibrations, but they don't acknowledge them because of their minds get into the way. Mm.
And so do you have 2 arms and 2 legs, or something different?
Yes, I have. Yes, but our hands are a little different, and our feet are a little different.
How are they different? Like, look at your hands. What do you see?
Yes. They're shaped differently. Their fingers are different. They're not as, we don't have 5 pointed things like you do. It's more 4, and what is interesting about the hands is they're very sensitive. They're very, they can create many things just through the fingers, what you call fingers. The feet are more, again, they're a little different. They're in some ways they're narrower. In some places they're wider. In the front they're more narrow. In the back they're wider. What you call here the heel is a little bit wider, and we don't need to put things on our feet like you do here, like the shoes and stuff like that. We don't dress up like you do here. And when we walk, we feel the vibration of the earth. We're totally totally sensitive to vibration.
You said your hands can create many things. What? Can you give me an example? What does that mean?
Mm-hmm. It's like here you use hammers and you use nails and saws and stuff like that. We don't need that. We don't need those materials. We just visualize, and we create through just our mental, not our mental, but our abilities to create. We just create, we manifest, I guess is a better word of putting it.
Would you describe your body as physical or an energy being type of body, or somewhere in between?
It has physical. It's physical.
It's physical, okay.
And its vibration's much lighter.
I see. Do you have?
It's not as dense as the bodies here on Earth. Mm-hmm.
I see. And do you have skin? What is the surface of your body like?
No, we don't. Well, we have more of feather-like type of around most of our bodies, except our hands and our feet. I guess you could call it skin-like.
Are these very short feathers or long, or how do they look on the body?
It depends upon the part of the body you're talking about. There's some long and there's some short.
Okay. And what is your height during this life?
It's bigger than it's bigger than what you have. What the average person here. Actually, it's more like what some of the people are moving into here on Earth. A little bit taller. We're more like. Again, it varies, but there are some people who are 15 feet tall.
15?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, as these beings, do you have a name, or the planet, does it have a name?
We don't use names. We don't need to use names. We just recognize vibrations.
Has anyone on Earth, or any people on Earth, ever given a name to the beings that you are, or the planet?
I've been told it's the blue avians.
The blue avians, okay.
A form of that group. It's not totally the same. They're
related.
They're related.
Okay, and so where do you live in this planet? I want you to move to the place where you spend most of your sort of mundane daily life. Is there a place like that?
Well, when I lived there, what the time we're talking about is that there isn't. It's quite different than what you have here. It's not like you have a dwelling place. It's something that we kind of moved around. We don't have families like you do here.
Well, do you eat and sleep, or do you not need that?
We rest.
We rest. Do you rest at one particular place, or you just move around?
Or
is it just like meditation?
It's kind of I would say it's more. Thank you. That's more like meditation. It's like it isn't going into. We rest our bodies that way, and our minds aren't as active in the way your guys' minds are here on Earth. A lot of your resting is to help the brain to, first of all, relax. And it's funny to us how this planet here and the people here are so involved with their brains. It's important that you have your brains here, but you overuse them for things that wasn't designed to be used for. The mind was to help to move the body into, and it was the soul who was in charge of helping create things. But it got a little bit confusing, and the mind has kind of took front seat.
So in this life as a blue avian, what is it like to live through the soul rather than through the mind?
There is what we do not feel fear, and we do not feel judgment. We see things as it is. We don't make up stories. It is, we just are here and being more present, more in love. And there's no fear, so we don't have to protect ourselves, or we don't have to feel like there'd be a lack of anything. We're very supportive of each other. We do not take advantage of each other, and we're not attached to each other.
So what is it like, or would you just say you're a communal race, communal species?
We're communal.
Communal?
Yes, we are. But it's more than that. I mean, we are that, but we also are not. We have many different tasks to do. We have many different, what you may call committees, to make sure things are in harmony. But we also, because of our abilities and our understanding and our love, we do a lot outside of our planet. We travel quite a distance from our planet to help other planets.
Other planets.
Yes.
Okay.
And we can pick up people's vibrations. So when we go to a different planet, we do not have to know the language of the people. I mean, when we came to Earth, we understood that you have many different languages, but we didn't have to worry about that. We just tuned into the vibration of the people. That is the biggest language.
I see. Tell me about, give me an example of these tasks that you do.
Come to Earth to help it to do the main tasks that I'm involved in, and I only speak about what I'm involved in, was over a period of time I came to Earth, the Earth atmosphere, to help to bring the love and to bring understanding. And I have spoke to many different masters, not face to face, through meditation. So my task, and part of the committee I'm on, is to help bring peace and harmony onto Earth. That has always been my task since I've been involved in this commission.
And I don't know if this is a simple question or a tricky question. Mm-hmm. This life now you're seeing as a blue avian. When you visit Earth, what time is that? What's the time period on Earth?
For your point of view, it is thousands of years. There's not a time period as you would call it. We've been hanging around here for your Earth time for thousands of years. And we have brought many things to Earth. And we have helped form many different things, many different structures. And some of the structures, like in Peru, you can't understand how they ever was built. Machu Picchu is a good example. How did they get the rocks to fit upon each other where you can't even put a needle between the rocks? And they're not straight lines, they're curved and everything else. How did that happen? That was what we helped create. There was a reason why we built that at Machu Picchu and other places. I just used Machu Picchu as an example. That what you would call is a holy place. Now, we would say it is a place that had great harmony. It was in a certain location. It wasn't just built haphazard in a certain part of the earth. That location is a certain energy point. You have many different energy points on this earth, and that happens to be one of them. Now, what most people don't recognize is the fact that many years Machu Picchu wasn't even known to the world. It was in a forest, and it got covered up by many by the jungle, and it was discovered, and then the people in Peru uncovered it, so to speak, And it has now become a very place to go. People do not understand why they are drawn there. Lots of people, not everyone, but a lot of people don't understand why they were drawn there. Devin doesn't understand why he was drawn there. He was told in a meditation, go to Machu Picchu, and he did. And he never did quite figure the full extent. He was amazed by how the rocks were put together, how things were connected.
Devin has told me a story a couple times about when he went to Peru, and there was a policeman who spoke very good English.
Mm-hmm.
What happened? Can you talk about that experience?
That experience was very interesting because Devin was going to walk. This was when he was in, I believe the word is Kona. Not Kona, Cusco. He was going to go and to a certain area, and this man came up who could speak English and said, don't go there, don't go there. He says, that's not a place for you to go. So he took me back to my hotel. What was interesting, people who I knew, who I met there, had gone to where the policeman said, don't go. And people stole some of their stuff. And Devin always has felt, and it is true, that was not a regular human being and just happened to be there. He was guiding Devin. Devin was very well protected when he went to Peru. There was a couple other times where he was well protected when he was in Peru. He went to it at a time period where there was upheaval in Peru. In Lima, there was tanks in the street. In each corner, there was police with shotguns, and you couldn't go into buildings without going through security. And so it was not the best time to be there, but he was told to go there. And he was well taken care of, and he was told when he came back, when he was on the plane coming back from Peru, to remind him, the message came to him, you were well taken care of, and everything you needed was provided for. Remember that, Devin. You were well taken care of. So it's like when you ask for help, when you want to be protected, you can ask for help, ask for protection, and you will receive it. Whatever you ask, you will receive. If you want to have a miserable life, that will be given to you. If you want a beautiful life, that will come to you. Now, I'm not saying this all comes from making decisions from the conscious mind. There's some karmic issues here, and I don't want to go into great detail here. But in that instant, Devin realized that he was well protected in this life. He will be always protected as long as he asks for protection.
And if that policeman was not was that a normal human? Or what could you say about that policeman?
That policeman was brought by the divine to protect Devin.
I see.
If you would go ask anybody if they knew who he was, he didn't exist on this earth. They never recognized him. He's the only one that saw this policeman. No one else saw him.
So if anyone else was there, would they see the policeman?
Probably not, or they could have, but they didn't recognize who the policeman was.
I see. Okay. Okay, now Devin, I want you to calm your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Focus in on your breathing. And I'm going to count from 3 to 1. And we're going to go to that life now that Kalila told you about, where you were in World War II or just before World War II, and you were helping people in France in danger. 3, 2, 1. Be there now. And tell me what's happening.
Well, the war is going on. And what Devon's response was to hide people whose lives were in danger. And he had a system. He wasn't the creator of it. He was part creator of it, of a system to how people leave France in a safe way.
I see. Which part of France were you in? Was this in the city or out in the country?
It was in a suburbs of what you call suburbs of Paris.
Okay, I see. And
not all the time, but that was one of the main places.
I want you to move now to one of these scenes where you're helping people escape. 3, 2, 1. Be there now.
Mm-hmm.
And tell me, who do you see with you?
I see a family. I see we're in a truck, a military truck, and that we've had 5 people in the back of this truck, and we're getting them out of this truck, or out of this area through this truck. There is one thing that you need to know. There was people in the military there who understood what I was a part of and what we were doing. So we were well supported. We knew who to trust and who not to trust. There was a lot of energy put in to learning who to trust and who not to trust. And we also, because of our ability, we also use our intuitiveness, and we also know what area of the country we can move in safely.
Mm-hmm. Now, stay in the scene in the truck and tell me what's going on in your mind and in your feelings and in your thoughts.
My feelings and thoughts is that everything is going to be okay. That we, because of our love for these people, and because of focusing on that and not fear, we were able to bring the people out. We trusted our own intuitiveness, our own abilities, and trusted that our love would help us move into a safe place. We also knew that if something happened, we would accept it as that's how it was to be. Now, the people we were taking out wasn't quite as fearless as we were. Quite the opposite. They were very fearful. But because we maintained our calmness and we were in a very balanced way, we did not. We kept keep the thing moving forward.
Okay, I want you to move now to another important scene in that life. 3, 2, 1. Be there now.
Mm-hmm. I see that it's like we're out of the middle of the country, and it's a very safe place, and we were hiding in the woods, in the forest, and that there was food provided, there was shelter provided, and we were the people there were well taken care of, and they were relaxing. And there's still some fear because they didn't know where the enemy was. But because of a lot of energy went into it, and because us who were helping the French people, because of our calmness and our assuredness, it helped them to relax quite a bit. The other thing I would say, not all people that was working with me could stay as calm, but it was calm enough that they could, that it was helpful.
Were you one of the leaders of this group or this network, or
No, I was not one of the leaders. I was
one of the men on the ground?
one of the men on the ground, and also as well acknowledged as one to help in calming people down.
I see. And who was providing the food and the shelter?
The people and friends who knew that we were doing. Again, we had to make sure that who we were dealing with were of support, that that they would support, and they provided the food and everything.
Okay, very good. I'm going to count now from 3 to 1. We're going to move to another important scene in this life in France. 3, 2, 1. Mm-hmm. Be there now. Tell me what you see.
Okay. It's another time period in France. The fighting is over. And things are very devastated. And what is beautiful is how people were helping each other. They knew that they would help each other. They needed to help each other. Yes, there were some people who was too frightened to support other people, but there were many people who opened their doors and to help bring aid to the people who needed it. Because they all knew they were in this situation together. When the war was over, there was a lot of devastation and a lot of lack of things, and so they had to share. And they were very pleased when aid came from different countries into their country, and they learned a lot during the war about themselves. They learned a lot about what they needed to learn at that time period. They really saw that they had choices, and that the choices affected not only them, but the people around them. It was a tragic time, but it was also a learning time. And because of the tragedy, the learning was quite profound. Not all people gained too much understanding, but those who were open to it really learned a lot. Everybody learned something. It's just a matter of degree of what they learned. There was also some people who were very angry, and they took that with them, and that was sad. But that was what they needed to work on.
Right. Okay. I want you to move now to 1 minute before your last breath in this life. 1 minute before you transition. 3, 2, 1, and be there now. And tell me, where are you?
I am in Paris, and I'm in the hospital, and there is people surrounding me, but I feel kind of alone in many ways, even though there were people around me. But then I also sense that I did the best I could. And I kept telling myself I did the best I could under the circumstances that I faced, and that I want to go in peace. I know that when I leave this body, I will go into heaven.
It sounds like a powerful life. Looking back on it, did you have any regrets looking back?
No.
Seemed like you really fulfilled your life's purpose.
Yes.
Okay. I want you to see yourself now at the moment where you transition out of your body and tell me what's happening.
I am being greeted by one of my spirit guides, one of the members of my spirit council, and he is greeting me. There's other beings there that are greeting me, and they're very happy to see me. They're very friendly and very loving. The love is almost unbelievable, the love that is expressed. And I'm very, very excited. And I just felt like I could let go of all that I had just got through experiencing.
It's a lot of pressure.
The pressure and all the wondering of why it ever began in the first place.
But I'm sure they're very, they admire the way you stayed so calm and fearless. What do they have to say about that?
They didn't really talk about that.
Okay, what do they have to say?
They just said that you have come and you came to this earth to help, and you fulfilled that agreement with yourself. And that is what they were pleased with. They were very pleased that I saw what I saw about myself, and that I had fulfilled a deep, deep desire to help people. Not in a bragging way, but in a heartfelt way. There was no ego involved. It was all out of love and compassion. That is what they acknowledged. That's what I acknowledged. And when I went to the place where my council members were located, they acknowledged that I had fulfilled my agreement. They had smiles on their faces, and they said, well, what do you wish to do next? As if, well, what's next? And so we started working on the next life.
Very good. Okay, I want you to relax now. Focus on your breathing. Quieting your mind. Just enjoying the deep feeling of relaxation. And we're just going to take a quick visit and move now back to see Kalila in the French mansion or the chateau. She still has her documents, and we're just going to visit her very quickly. 3, 2, 1. Be there now. Be there with Kalila.
I'm so happy to come back to see her.
Okay, what does she have to say to you?
She says that she loves me so much, and that she is grateful for our relationship, and that she was happy to show me these documents to remind me of what was written, what we had written, and what we talked about to many people. If you were to ask people about us, they would not remember us because we didn't go by the names that we took in other lifetimes. But we don't really care what people think of us because we did what we wanted to do which was to help people. And I did feel like we helped a lot of people. But the most important people we helped was ourselves. Because we learned so much about love of humanity, love of existence, love of all that there is. We really felt connected with all of existence.
Well, thank you both for your devotion to helping others. I'd like to ask a question for Devin and Kalila. Would you describe yourself as a primary soul family member for Devin? How would you describe yourself as part of Devin's soul family?
Yes, our souls are very connected. As I believe I said before, I chose to come back to Earth, but to help Devin in when he calls upon me, while he's on Earth in the different lifetimes.
I see. And before we finish now, is there anything else you'd like to say to Devin?
That I appreciate Devin because of his tremendous heart, his love, also his really devotion and to help humanity, and his humility. He keeps himself small so that he isn't seen, isn't talked about. Right. But as we said before, in this lifetime, he will be more well known than in other lifetimes in some ways. And yet, it's not really different from other lifetimes in the fact that at one point in his life, he has to come out. And that's what's happening now to him. He has to come out from hiding. He always avoids that in each life, but it always has to come out.
Okay, thank you for this message. It seems like I'm hitting Devin with a sledgehammer on the head, telling him to stop doubting what he's receiving and stop doubting himself. What do you have to say to Devin about this? About his self-doubt, his lack of trust?
That's not unusual for Devin. In many lifetimes, he's done the same thing.
And how do we give him a kick in the pants?
He's starting to wake up.
Okay, very good.
He's starting to trust. And sometimes it's good that he doesn't trust, because he may trust the wrong aspect of his existence, his mind. And that's one of the things he does not want to do. But he's learning, and he's learning quite quickly, that he is distinguishing between his mind and his soul.
Thank you. Are we complete today?
We are very complete, and I thank you